why would I want thermal imaging inside of a ghost hunt?
Ghosts they're cold.
Cold, thank you.
They're not hot.
So, two terms I actually hate. Energy is being one of them.
Oh my god.
Because everything is energy. So it's very generic. And I can't remember what the other term is, but when somebody says it, I'll know it. I'm like, oh. But yeah. No, vibes are good. I'm good with vibes. But energy is too generic for me. I like to go very specific. You guys are going to find that out really fast. So cold spots, that is the exact answer. So, sorry, Ken, but I'm the hottest thing in the video right now. You see that, ladies?
Okay,
so, yeah.
All right.
Works when I have a group
just
of
told my
ladies.
wife that this cold thing is perfect. That's awesome. That's okay.
So I'm orange, red, and yellow, right? We're looking for blue and black to either take shape or move on its own. So when I say take shape, we're looking for the shape of a person. I'm looking for head, shoulders, moving arms, and legs. So that's really what I'm looking for. The cool thing for you, you're going to get the video back, but there's a blue dot that's bouncing around the screen right now. It's showing you the coldest spot in the frame at that particular moment. So that way, it's going to help guide your eye when you're watching the video. There's also a sensor crosshairs. I keep track of your temperature and moon phases for you. That's going to be in your analysis report tomorrow. But I'm looking for 15 plus degree temperature drops between, it's going to be, I think it's 61 degrees out here for us tonight. So I'm going to be looking for, 46, 47 degrees and lower?
56 right now.
56. So I'm looking for 41 and lower at this point. So again, I write them down before I leave the car, so it'll all be there. But again, we're going to do a few starts and stops with this. I do like to point out that this is a FLIR camera. This is not an app you can download. So again, there's an app that comes with the camera. It's just an attachment for a cell phone. And this is what firemen would use in a quick pinch to go help save people. So again, this is the real deal. So we're going to do a few stops and starts because as great as that hardware is, the software sucks. So if we record for too long, we're going to lose footage. What I do is I splice all of your video together, so that way you have one video for each type of camera. So I'm going to, now that you actually have the...
Okay, we're
I
on.
don't have to tell you anything, even though I
Yeah,
have
you
it
know
on.
what? You're
Not
going
yet.
to drain the battery.
So you're going to
That's
find,
what happens.
like,
No,
even
he
with
said
the
I
spirit
could go.
boxes, I might say, slow down. Let me get through the history before you start spouting off, because there might be a lot of interruptions. And it's okay to interrupt me, but if we're getting a ton of them, I'm like, all right, everybody go on mute. Like, it's kind of like some people get really good at a spirit box really fast. So, Big Johns, let's talk about that.
Okay.
We're here for a reason.
I got a cue.
Turned it off.
Pissed off. They came back the next night and tried to steal the cash register from the front of the bar. John saw what was going on from the back of the bar, slammed down his beer, and went over and just started pounding on these guys, just beating the hell out of them. A couple of gunshots went off. John got grazed in the neck, and the bullet landed behind him in the wall. Being the only one that's been shot, John gets up, he goes back to the bar, tells the bartender, get me another beer, go get those two guys an ambulance. Irony of the story is if I tell you that a building is haunted, all of your minds go straight to who died here. That's not the case here. What's haunting the place is the bullet hole. It's allegedly still here. Even if this new renovation of Big John's filled it in, they sealed Big John's blood inside the building. People that sit in the front of this bar where that bar brawl occurred tend to get a little queasy, nauseous, or headache. This is why we start here. This is your heated warning. I don't know you.
AKA we should drink here after this.
Could be. But my point is, if anybody feels any of the symptoms that I just mentioned, the nausea, the dizziness, the headaches, I need to know immediately so we can move the whole group and get that person to safety. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Again, I don't know how paranormal activity is going to affect you when it does occur. So that's why I actually started here for that exact reason. Let's get your mind off your own health, because that's the scariest thing I'm going to tell you all night long. When I get moms on this tour, they look at me like, what the hell did I just sign up for? So, big earthquake here in 1886. If you didn't already know that from another Charleston tour, now you do. The reason I bring it up here is because Big John's, the building, is allegedly where the first death occurred from the earthquake. Again, that's an anomaly for us, and that's why every tour talks about it. This is South Carolina. It's supposed to have hurricanes, not earthquakes. But the white mantle you see in the middle of the building also wraps around the front. A piece of it broke off, struck somebody in the back of the head, and killed them. The previous owner of this place, used to be called Kane Rumbar, told me he used to see dark shadows in the middle of East Bay Street in the middle of the night after closing. I say allegedly a lot with this story because I have no proof of that whatsoever. It's just a great segue so nobody thinks about getting sick on the tour, even though I just brought it up again. Yes, I got jokes all night long, guys. We're going to have fun. I know you guys have questions about your devices, so let's go answer them. We're going to go up this way. Everybody here, I can guarantee it. So we're going to move on. We're going to talk about Eliza. Eliza, well, I gave the shortest person the best camera. So, because again, yeah, because if you were taller, you would definitely look like a YouTuber.
Yeah.
Just pointing that out. Nice and stiff with it. So anyway, back to Eliza. Eliza married Charles at a young age. If you're going to ask her how old she was when she got married, don't expect the numbers of a colonial woman getting married, like 12 and 14. Think of today's standards. I bring this up is because Eliza, like her husband, Charles, was over double her age when they married. It was a creepy age gap in the 1700s. It's definitely a creepy age gap now. So kind of keep that in the back of your brains. It's okay, I got one.
Okay.
You got another earbud for now. Just don't get shocked by anything. But I will give you another set once we get through the history. I always carry extras. Fully prepared. It's in your ear?
It's in my ear.
And you didn't know where it was?
No.
Why is everything muffled? I don't understand. Very cool. Anyway.
I knew we were supposed to show up to this drunk.
No.
I knew it. I knew it. All right.
I walk away from drunks. I don't work with drunks when it is this much equipment out. But anyway, back to the Pinckneys, Eliza. She married Charles because her father was over in England and he's trying to bring all of his kids home one last time because he thinks he's dying. Eliza didn't believe he was dying, so she stayed put and she got married. It's 1744. You don't get married in that year to get a green card. We're not a country yet. Kind of keep that in the back of your thoughts too. She did marry him out of love. There was no foul play, so don't poke the bear. This was an actual love of her husband. She also remained a widow after his death. Remember, he's much older than her. He died first. So she was right. Dad didn't die right away. Instead, he starts sending her gifts from England to where we're standing right now. One of those gifts happens to be the plant seeds of indigo. You guys have been in town for at least a few hours that I know of. You've seen the word indigo somewhere here in town. I guarantee it. Indigo is a plant that makes blue dye that makes our blue jeans blue. So Haley has it on right now. So you're wearing indigo. Lucky on you. So she didn't know what to do with the seeds when she got them. She had to learn from her slaves how to keep it cultivated. It's obviously not warm here all the time. When she figured it out and how to make the dye, she moved to a cash crop, got a hold of her dad, and said, rice plantation prices are going downhill. We're going to make a killing with the indigo because it is expensive. So we now have an international businesswoman during colonial times, something absolutely unheard of. That's the boring business stuff of Eliza. Let's get into the weird shit because that's why you guys are all here. So with communication devices, I'm going to give you kind of like a focus set of questions with each device based on which device you have. Because again, I kind of can tell what's going to come out of specific ones just based on the history of how many times I've been here. If you don't get any answers from those direct questions, by all means, questions about the kids, there's a tragedy there. If you poke the bear, all activity stops. Have you seen any numbers yet, by the way? Nothing yet. Is it still saying like double zeros?
Yeah.
And you don't have the word hold on your screen anywhere?
No.
Okay, just want to make sure you haven't tapped anything by accident. Perfect. So again, hopefully you're going to get the answers to those questions.
Number of children.
And their names.
And their names.
Nice and simple.
Okay.
So with your Ouija board device, we're hoping to get Eliza's initials. I will tell you we've had an anagrammed version of her name show up with one interference of one letter. So it was E-U-L-Z-I-A. So we had all the letters of Eliza consecutive, and it was kind of consecutive, but we had that interference of U. So I was very excited because it was the second night we used the device. So I was like, yeah, this is going to work out really well.
When we arrived, it spelled I-N.
Indigo.
And then it
is where she's
followed
going
by
with that.
EX.
So we don't have a full spelling of it yet. But again, we're looking at, what, 6 letters in indigo? Yeah, 6 letters out of indigo. That's a lot to go through.
They were right after the other two.
Okay. So, again, I'm going to have to keep you behind to show you more letters about that and how that thing actually works. So, Joanne, your device. Have I screwed up anybody's name yet? All right, perfect.
You're
Joanne,
good at that, yeah.
I'm a writer. You're all characters to me. Guess who the star is? But with your particular device, again, you can go after what happened to the mansion. Like, that's a big deal. But you can also, if you get the answer of, like, what happened to it, then you go after the when. Like, it's a specific date. So if we get the what, we normally get 2 or 3 numbers out of the date. So that could come in form of, like, the actual, like, January 1st, or it might look like 1/1. And we also get the year out of that as well. So it's very specific. The other thing about your device that we'll actually get, keep in mind there's a car coming through, so don't look like a YouTuber. Eliza that we just talked about is the second wife named Eliza from Charles back to back. The first wife, Eliza, also has a maiden name that starts with the letter L, and I didn't tell you what the second wife's maiden name was. So figure out which Eliza we're dealing with by asking what her maiden name is. The clue is that it's going to be an L name, just so you have
So
that
when
idea.
am I supposed to ask these questions?
When we spread out.
Spread out.
Once I give Tiffany her questions, I'm going to say everybody spread out, but Leah, correct? got the name right. So I'm going to keep Leah with me, and then what happens is I start bouncing around. I do 2 round robins with everybody to kind of see like what's going on, and if we don't have anything, we move on. If we do have a little bit of something, I'll say I'll do 1 more round, and we'll kind of keep it nice and short. I'll be honest, this is a space I was looking to retire because I was getting disrespectful ghost hunters on my team, and we were getting disrespectful messages back. Easy. The slower the motions you guys have. Leah, stay with me. Everybody else spread out. Stay away from vehicles. That's the biggest key thing here. It is a Saturday night. People get weirded out.
So we're just kind of hanging out in the parking lot here?
Like right in here?
In this way.
Okay.
This way. So even though like the mansion did go over this median that we have now, I still like this way I can kind of keep an eye on everybody,
Okay.
and that way I know where everybody's at.
Okay.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Get that thing started. So Leah, stick with me. You two start like I guess walking around. See what you get. But come on over. Let me show you how that Ouija board.
Are
thing
we
actually
looking for
works.
cold sensors near people?
So most people actually have an outline of a cold sensor, so most of us should have like a black outline.
Yep.
So it could be near a person, but just
3.6. 6.5.
nice. 6, 6, 5.
Should be.
I want you to also escalate those numbers. I don't want to have a
What is it that you're recording?
What?
What is it that you're recording?
I'm recording how many kids she had. She had 4. I heard 4. And I heard the name Christian, but he said that's not one of them. But she was very religious.
So what are you hearing? Do you have a sensor? Do you have a hearing device?
Yeah. It's scanning. So you hear weird.
Oh, that would drive me nuts.
So you're listening for like when I ask a question. So I'm actually
gotcha.
asking questions.
Oh.
And I've gotten the word 4. I already did hear that.
Okay. I'm not hearing anything. Well, I'm not saying.
I would kind of keep an eye on both ways. So if I say people are going to be cutting through, I'll say, let's split the seas. And that way you guys know cameras go down. Did we hear or see anything along the way with communication devices?
This one I came in here.
What'd you get?
Autumn and November.
I'll take November. That works. That makes sense. Anybody else got anything? Any words coming up on there?
A lot of them.
See the last yeah, pretty vague. Karen, got anything on yours?
Mm-mm.
All right, so welcome to Philadelphia Alley. This location used to be called Dueler's Alley. First off, let me explain why it's called Philadelphia Alley now. So again, it was called Dueler's Alley, and after dueling became illegal and stupid, they had to rename it, and they named it after a city that helped us out of one of the many, many fires that we've had. Philadelphia gave us a bunch of money, therefore we paid tribute to them with this particular alley. So that's why it's called Philadelphia Alley now. So no direct relation to Eliza being buried up in Philly. Dueling. This is where some of the duels used to occur for the city of Charleston. Every ghost tour comes down here, and they all tell the same story. I'm going to tell it to you a little bit differently because you're going to get a little bit more detail from me because you're ghost hunting. I want you to also keep in mind this is not a space where we're going to be able to spread out because so many other places come down here, and we can only move so far into the alley itself. I'll explain more. But what I expect out of this place is hopefully that we're going to hear or see a few things while we're here, but we do get a lot of bleed over at the next location, which is directly behind me. So we do get a lot of bleed over from this space over there. However, to understand the duel, you have to be in the alley to be able to fully get it. So here's how it goes. Normally, I don't normally have to cough in front of the story, but we're going to do it anyway. With that said, a doctor moves down here from Rhode Island. He comes down here. His name is Dr. Joseph Brown Ladd. For those of you with Spirit Box, earbuds, if you hear the song Brown Eyed Girl, it is not coincidence. That is part of his name, and we're going to take it. But anyway, he moves down here because he's supposed to get married to his fiancée, Amanda. Amanda just inherited a bunch of money from her dead parents. She has an attorney helping her out with all of this cash. The attorney thinks that Dr. Ladd is just after Amanda's money. So he tells Amanda, get rid of the doctor. So Dr. Ladd moves to Charleston to prove that he's not after Amanda's money. So as he comes down into town, the coachman that brought him in set him up to be robbed and killed. It wasn't a good start to his stay in Charleston. But somebody was walking by and seeing what was about to happen. Somebody that lived here for a while. He knew the coachman and knew that he was going to try to kill him. That gentleman's name was Ralph Isaacs. I stopped there because Ralph has the same initials as where the doctor came from, which is the exact reason why I bought the Ouija board. The letters RI were showing up on regular spirit boxes prior to me getting that device, and we've even had RI show up consecutively in this location, I want to say at least 2 or 3 times at this point since I've had it. So again, RI still shows up on spirit boxes. It's the weirdest thing. Like, you wouldn't expect the DJ to say RI, but I get it all the time. It's so weird. I don't know what it means on the radio, but I get it here. Anyway, Ralph tells the doctor, dude, you don't want to stay here. I know this guy. He's going to try to kill you. Come with me. I got friends at 59 Church Street. You can stay there, rent a room, and you'll be safe. The doctor took him up on the offer, and the gentleman became friends. The longer the doctor stays here in Charleston, the more money he's making. He's proving his point that he wasn't after Amanda's money. So Amanda gets wind of this, she's coming down so they can get married, and the doctor becomes known as the Whistling Doctor, because he whistled all the time. This is the 1780s, that's what men did. I will tell you that every haunted city that you're ever going to visit has a cliched whistling ghost. We actually have proof of this one, and I want to get to it, and I actually have some myself. But anyway, Ralph and the doctor go see plays together. They can't sit next to each other so they can actually enjoy it together, because the doctor makes more money. He gets better seats. That's just the way the hierarchy works. They talk about the plays on the way home. They go see Richard III one night from Shakespeare, and they're arguing on the way back over the new actress. Dr. Ladd thought she was great. Ralph didn't. The argument gets really heated when Ralph starts insulting the doctor's fiancée, Amanda, back home in Rhode Island, and they go their separate ways. Ralph, he figured out already that he lived down here a while and has friends. He finds his friends at the newspaper, places an ad in the newspaper telling the whole city of Charleston what he thinks of the doctor. Kind of a, you're a disgrace to society, sir, kind of mentality. The doctor saw the ad, rebutted with, let's go to Dueler's Alley. We're going to settle this. Keep in mind, this all started because of an actress at a play. So they came down, they took their 10 paces, they turned, the doctor pointed his gun in the air, and he shot. He didn't want to kill his friend. He just wanted to have the courage and bravery to show up to the fight. But Ralph has his one shot, and he puts it in the kneecap of the doctor. Dr. Ladd didn't die, but he dropped to the ground. His friends picked him up, took him home to 59 Church Street, where he dies 10 days later. November 2nd was the date, 1786.
Okay.
So, again, there's your November.
Spilled up. Just like
The other tours will tell you as you're down here, listen for the whistles. Do you hear how quiet it is right now? This is a Saturday night. There should be a little hustle and bustle coming off of East Bay Street. It's like this on a Saturday afternoon in the middle of July, just so you know. It's the weirdest, most uncanny thing. It's also one of the most beautiful places we have here in Charleston. I love this space. But I will tell you, every local knows this story. Anybody walking up and down Cumberland or Queen Street throws a whistle down the alley. I do it every single night. Again, I've been kicked out of here. I don't think I told you guys that yet. Yeah, we're going to talk about that because that's the funny part of the story. And Ken's like, yeah, I want to hear this. I've seen them eyes light up. But there's a reason why we only go down so far. With that being said, let's kind of talk about that. This alley didn't go all the way through. It was cut off about halfway between us and Cumberland Street. That's because this is where they kept the livestock. It was called Cow Alley during those times, obviously before Doors Alley. So the bricks on that end are older than the bricks on that end. That side are sun-dried bricks from slave children, and there's one full handprint from the slave child in one of those bricks at the end, along with a few fingerprint swipes. And I would take people all the way through when I was new at being a tour guide, and unfortunately, it is outside the dining room window of a beautiful mansion at the end of the alley. So I was out of bounds, and I did not realize it. But what I will tell you is that nobody's going to get any activity out of that brick. So November 26th of 2020, my entire group was huddled around. I pushed them along, and the new guy came out screaming. My daughter was on the tour that night. She thought it was great because Dad's getting yelled at. So we moved on. The next day was Thanksgiving. I don't tour on Thanksgiving because I worked in retail management for over 20 years, mainly for Walmart. Most of you can feel my pain. I will never work another Thanksgiving in my life. The next day, the 28th, I talked to my partner about what happened. He said, take them down halfway or reroute the group. So I decided to reroute. But what I told my group that night was, I've never had any activity out of this next story. Not to mention, I'm a vampire guy, not a pirate person. I don't think we're going to get anything, and I don't know much, but we're going to see what happens. Before we left, somebody heard the name Anne on a spirit box. I did not tell that group who we are going to be investigating, which is the famous female pirate Anne Bonny. So I got a little like, all right, we'll see what happens. When we got down there and I told her a little bit I did know about pirates at the time, somebody else heard the number 300. I write it down because I don't know what it means. I do the research the next day. We were there November 28th of 2020. Anne Bonny's trial for piracy was November 28th of 1720. We were there on the exact 300-year anniversary of her pirate trial. So I keep taking you guys back there. However, I will tell you that it is a hit-or-miss location. Unlike the Pinckney Mansion site where I expect a nightly activity, I never know what's going to happen at the Powder Magazine. I'll explain why we'd go to the Powder Magazine looking for Anne once we get there. Everything we're going to be discussing is based off of pirate lore and a minimum of 2 resources of each sentence that I will tell you at the next piece of history. It is another space where we'll be able to spread out, but we will stay out of the way of the other tours. So again, people like to cut through that space to get to their next location, so don't film them. There may be a few cars inbounds. But again, it is a crazy pirate story, so if you're into pirates like Ken, you're going to love this. He probably already knows the damn story, am I right? You don't know Anne Bonny's story? All right, it's nuts. So again, continue listening in. Again, we don't stay here. We just kind of stir shit up, and then we move on. Did you get any numbers before we leave the space?
I got numbers.
What'd you get?
1025.
Write them down, because you also had November.
Just spelled something else again.
I mean, I've gotten a couple things, but. So I got a couple things, but.
Direct words or anything that I would recognize as being relevant. Again, that device, we might get something out of it, but it's a more than likely not. So it's not that I'm not super interested in it. It's just I know focusing on that, I should be focusing more on the spirit boxes. That's why I said make the determination. If you can't make it out, I'm not going to be able to do it either. So you had November and then 1025.
Yeah.
Anybody else get anything weird? Karen,
I mean,
you
I got
something?
a couple other things, but
Oh, what else?
it was like talking. When you were telling a story about the dueling, it sounded like a man that said that bastard.
We'll take it.
I'm
not gonna label it,
It was
as
literally
paranormal, but it is still funny.
It was
based on where we're at.
really funny because it was right when you were telling that story and how he got shot in the kneecap, and he said that bastard.
Wait, now it spells dumb.
I'll write it down just because it spelled something actually legible, like something we can actually make out what it's saying. What do you got coming out of
Where I buy my equipment, I got an email for this new piece of equipment, so it's kind of cool to see it.
Interesting. We're gonna.
Gotta add that to your collection.
I'm gonna have to look it up
Interesting.
because I definitely got an ad for that machine.
Yeah, I've seen the ones that when we came in.
Does VIWL mean?
I got a group coming down.
Yeah, I hear 'em. We're gonna move along. Those of you with video cameras, if you want to continue recording, just make sure you're not a YouTuber, and we'll move along. We're gonna head up this way. So I just think it's kind of funny as we move from space to space, you guys are getting quieter and quieter. Anything heard from Philadelphia Alley to here?
I thought I heard Anne when we were walking back, but that's right after you said Anne, so
Okay.
I don't know.
I'm still going to write it down.
Okay.
Because her name does show up here quite a bit. So I wouldn't be surprised. So again, we are near St. Philip's Steeple, so just kind of keep that in mind. Other tours, I normally take us straight to the back wall, but that truck, in case somebody's going to come out to the vehicle, I'm going to bring us over to the side. But we're here because of the building behind me. So this is the gunpowder magazine. Those are not crosses on that building. Those are earthquake bolts. If you're not from here and you don't know what those are, they're basically turnbuckles. If we have another earthquake like what we did in '86, which we have not, that was 1886 by the way, that I talked about earlier, you can turn the turnbuckles and it's supposed to tighten the building so that way it doesn't incur any further damage. It's a great idea, it just doesn't work. Just so you guys know, don't get too excited. You guys have seen them all over town in the shape of pineapples, little squares like the apartment building behind there, lion heads. It's just part of the Charleston charm that we have, is to actually still install them on buildings even though they don't actually work. It's just what we do. But anyway, I bring these up because it's part of the reason of why we're here. Those earthquake bolts are the first set that Charleston ever put in. You can actually see them kind of bowing off the building a little bit. They've been there a long time. Now, with that said, the reason why they did that is because this is the oldest government building in South Carolina. It was finished in 1713. So we are here because this is a building that would be familiar to Anne Bonny during the time frame that she lived here. So this is kind of like using the teddy bear on your TV shows to attract a child ghost. It's the same principle. It's what I call a familiar. So this building took 10 years to build. That doesn't sound like our government, small building, 10 years? Does it? Not at all. So at any rate, the story actually begins right in the middle of its construction. So 1708, you'll have to follow me. There's a few twists with a female pirate. So I'll slow down on the twists so everybody can grab them. 1708, a young lady named Anne Cormac comes here from Ireland with her father and his mistress. The mistress is Anne's mother. Are you guys all with me so far? Again, there's a lot of twists. The three of them are running away from her father's angry wife. How mad was she that she'd have to leave your country to come here by boat in 1708? Just pointing that out. So, Ken, treat her right. She'll kick you out of the country. The only guy here, the only guy got picked on. So, at any rate, with that said, they land in Georgetown. It's between us and Myrtle Beach. So, kind of gives you an idea of where they lived. Dad bought a plantation when they got there, but Mom died pretty quickly. That means Dad is sending young Anne down here to sell anything from the plantation to keep things afloat, hence the familiar building. We don't have many this old. Let's take a step backwards to Ireland for a second. Anne was kind of a badass, even from a young age. They say she killed a servant with a knife to the belly when Anne was only 7, 8, 9 years old. Remember, this is pirate lore. None of the numbers are going to be truly exact. So kind of want to put that mentality of her killing at that young age in the back of your brain as we go through her history. Fast forward, the building's done, 1713. By 1715, pirates are coming through town. Anne is stoked. Why? She's going to fall in love, so that way she can earn her freedom, just like a guy. It's a guy's world, a man's world at this point. First guy she falls in love with, yes, I said first because there's a handful, and we're going to go through them. First guy is James Bonny. You kind of already see where this one's going, right? We already mentioned her full name. Dad didn't approve, filthy pirate. They run away to Jamaica, they get married. Anne Cormac is now Anne Bonny. However, James, when they get down there, is not Captain Jack Sparrow like what she was hoping for, this swashbuckling type of pirate. This guy is a privateer, which means he's a spy for the British. He's a coward in Anne's eyes. She doesn't love him anymore. So she falls in love again, a few years later, still married to James, by the way. Next guy is John Rackham. You had the name Jonathan show up. I'm going to look up. He always went by John, according to all the records I have. We did have the name Jonathan.
Sails.
What's that?
There's a show called Black Sails.
I know, I love it.
I loved that. I was like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, you should know a good portion of this story.
Okay. Yep, I've heard the names.
So John Rackham is known as Calico Jack. This is the guy that they based your Johnny Depp character off of, just so everybody does know that. Jack has his own ship and wants to be part of it. You can't put a female on a pirate crew. Does anybody know why? Think family friendly, guys. I see the wheels spinning. It's bad luck. So again, I get a lot of different answers to that. I just make sure you guys are paying attention. But anyway, he makes a deal with her. If you dress like a guy and look like the crew, then you can be part of the crew. She's okay with this because Dad used to cross-dress her. Oh, I gotta answer her. Dad used to cross-dress her as a boy apprentice back home in Ireland to hide her away from his wife. So she's okay with this dressing like a guy thing. So, but she's going to be a female in Jack's quarters. Let's put 2 and 2 together. She's eventually going to get pregnant. You cannot have a pregnant pirate dude on the crew. Somebody's going to figure out that she's a girl, and then Jack's going to get voted off the ship. So he drops her off in Cuba before she starts to show that she's pregnant. Have the baby here. These are friends of mine. They'll help you out. Come back later, and we'll figure it out. He was very quick about it. She comes back with no baby. We have no idea what happened to that child, by the way. But while she was away giving birth, he captured another pirate crew, and they're down below deck. And she's going to go flirting with that pirate crew to make Jack even more mad because she's dressed like a girl when she comes back to his crew. So, with that, we're on guy number 3, in case you lost track. Guy number 3 turns out to be a female, dressed like a guy to be part of the pirate crew that Calico Jack captured. Now we have 2 females dressed like males trying to be pirates on the same ship. This young lady's name is Mary Reed. She went by Mark Reed to become a pirate, which if you watch the full season, that was the last episode, the last 30 seconds of the show. Mark Reed joins the crew. So, anyway, her and Mary became friends, possibly lovers. We're not going to really know for sure because of the records, they're not there. But the British find out where they are. They send a fleet of ships. I know, this history is long. I'm sorry, I'm trying to speed it up.
I yawn all the time. Sorry.
So the British find out where they are. They're going to send the whole fleet of ships to take down one ship. Anne and Mary, it's rumored that they were the only 2 pirates not drunk enough to come up and fight with their 1-bullet flintlocks, probably because they didn't know how to use the cannons yet. They haven't been pirates for very long. Obviously, 2 ladies with flintlocks are not going to take on a whole fleet of ships. They get arrested. And as they get arrested, Anne looks at her captain, her beau, Calico Jack. She says, "Sorry to see you here, but if you would have fought like a man, you wouldn't have to be hanged like a dog." The word dog shows up here a lot on your spirit boxes, by the way. The judge wants to see the 2 men, quote unquote, that fought back so valiantly on their own. He's already tried and hung Calico Jack days prior. So November 28th, Anne and Mary go in front. They reveal their gender, hoping to save themselves. The judge doesn't give a shit that they're female. He's still going to hang them because they're still pirates. "We plead our bellies," was the last thing they shouted, because you can't hang a pregnant woman in 1720. It's illegal. Delays the hanging, back to jail. Dad is still up here in South Carolina with all of his Irish money. Remember, he was an attorney back home. So he bails out Anne, brings her home. She remarries. That's husband number 2, but guy number 4. We're going to count Mary. We don't really know. She has 4 kids. She dies at the age of 84. Very abrupt ending because we don't know much about her after her pirate career. Some say she stayed here in South Carolina, Charleston, Columbia, pick a city. Others versions of it say that she went up to Virginia, changed her name, and that's where she stayed with her husband until her dying days. Mary Reed. She died a year later in 1721 from whatever pirates died from in a Jamaican jail. Most books and articles will tell you that it was something very simple, like fever. We're going to make it romantic and call it scurvy. Why not? So, again, it's probably nasty, bumpy, and gross. We're talking about Jamaican jails here. So, just want to make sure it wasn't another tour that you were filming. But at any rate, this is a space where I only left out 2 questions on purpose, so you had something to work with. You guys know what you're doing by now with asking questions, and this is not a prominent English woman. Hope the bear, and this would be an Irish person. So who gave me the word Irish? Yeah, earlier I was kind of like,
I was gonna ask. Could they have?
It's a possibility. I've looked around that area because I've had other clues to her over there, but nothing where I could find that would tie her to going to that specific location. It was. But the 2 questions I left out on purpose are the names of her parents. That's the father and the mistress. And I also left out the name of Calico Jack's ship. So also keep in mind that you could get bleed over from the dueling story over there with Dr. Ladd. So if you want to ask things like what his birthday was and those kind of things that we can actually prove, by all means do so. It is also the month of March, and I want to tell you, and during the month of March, we hear from John Calhoun a lot in this space because he's buried on the other side of that wall. He died in March and was born in March. It's the only time of year where we get a lot of activity around him. It's just weird. His sarcophagus is above ground. I'm not sure if that has anything to do with it, but it is something you can visit during the daytime. That part of the cemetery is open for you guys to walk through. But again, we do get things relative to Calhoun from time to time. I don't look for it. When it happens, I'll point it out. But again, with some of these other tours in here right now, I don't know what they're doing way over there. Most people come into this space to talk about the Powder Magazine and the relevance to the history of Charleston. I like to use it as kind of like, this is a staple. Anne recognizes it. Let's see if she's here at the same time we are. What words do you have before we spread out a little bit?
Peter standing. They are. Hera. Ken. Variable. Answer.
Era would be somewhat relevant if we had like the term golden for the golden age of piracy when Anne was active.
So we're looking for her parents' names?
Yeah, her parents.
Of the dad and the mistress.
Right. So we'll be able to spread out in this location. Just so for you, Leah, so you understand, like with the millimeter, obviously I don't expect a whole lot out of here. We have 2 electrical poles. Anything above a 5 on this half of the lot, I would be excited about. But keep in mind, I'm going to see where you're at. But on the back half of it is where if you get anything, I'll be excited. We don't normally get a whole lot of EMF here. We actually had quite a bit here last night, so we'll kind of see what happens again. But everything else, as far as cameras go, you guys know the rules around cars. And that kind of thing, so let's have some fun with this space. We're going to do a couple of laps in here and see what goes on. Ken's been like recording. You're going to give us like hours of I love it. He's like so on top of that. So have you, like, what have you figured out by using that camera? Because I normally come and talk to you to like show you a few things, but I didn't really get a chance at the last space.
Well, I'm just trying to kind of follow people because you're saying that a lot of this stuff will follow people. But I'm trying to kind of cover the space.
Well, not necessarily follow
as
people.
well.
It's the point of reference. Let me make a point. So bring your camera close to the wall.
Yep.
And it should be
Cold.
am
Chilly.
Should be. No, don't put me in the frame.
Okay.
Keep me out of the frame, and the wall should be somewhat warm. Like red is
Yep.
warm. So watch what happens when my hand comes into view. Look
Yep.
what happened to the wall. It
Yep.
should have turned
so
blue.
the contrast.
Right. Exactly.
Okay.
Sorry, I didn't really get a chance at Pinckney Mansion.
I'm kind of following around the spaces
Mm-hmm.
and the people, and
So when I say I see things come out of there, like, right where Haley's standing, I would see a blue person walking right past her in the front.
Right.
Like, that's the kind of things I've caught.
right. And I'm trying to kind of stay away from the sky. I'm trying to kind of keep it
Yeah.
down. So
And that's just for you guys. Like, I'm normally just looking for the blue and black anomalies, and if they're moving around, like,
Okay.
I would be looking at, like, whatever's off there in the distance, because it's kind of pulsing a little bit, but I would see if something going to come out of there, like, I would just watch it during that minute to see what's going on.
okay.
But studying thermodynamics to fully understand how the hell this thing works and then explain it to the general public can be a little daunting at times, because some people are like, oh, I can see it because of the energy. I'm like, sure, if that's what you want to go with. The reason with the car thing, the reason I'm so adamant about this particular camera is because if I was a car thief, that would be my first tool.
Oh.
That way I know how long a car's been sitting there, basically.
Oh,
its heat
because
signature.
it's cold as opposed to hot.
Right, I would be looking for warm cars because they
gotcha.
just parked. I have plenty of time to break in. That would be my thought process. So that's why when I, have this guy out, I'm like I'm like a bad dad with the cameras. Like, please don't
Right.
film people. People get really weirded out. So yeah, this is you guys are taking ghost tours. Is this what you guys were
No,
expecting?
we did one in Savannah,
Mm-hmm.
which was more historical.
Yeah,
that
they
kind of
mostly
thing,
are.
Which was fun, and we thoroughly enjoyed it. My wife, she gets into this stuff, and
I
I
could tell.
have fun with it too.
I could tell you guys.
I give her a hard time, but I
As
have
you
fun
should.
with it too.
I love having skeptics on that groups. I'll be honest. I raised the ticket prices. to
As
keep
she
the
says, and
hecklers
she
out.
always says it kind of perfectly. She's like, I don't know if I believe, but I kind of want to, sort of. You know what
Well,
I
there's
mean?
a difference between believing and knowing.
Right. And she's kind of like, I kind of want to, but I'm not unlike that. So
I'm also the guy that doesn't believe in coincidences, especially when I see very common things and I study this, and I kind of see like the patterns of things. And there's no way that I could continue to do this if I didn't know we're getting activity based on what a normal person would call coincidences. Like, you just got that because, you were looking for it. No, I wasn't looking for it. It happened.
yeah.
And that's why I told them at the beginning, like, just let it happen. Don't search for things. Just let it happen. Tell me the weird shit. That's what I want to know. What's not common for the radio. That's what's so fun is when you guys get done. I mean, I answer texts and emails all day from people that claim to find things in their data. And I just go back and take a look. I prove it or debunk it. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not. I'm usually the bearer of bad news.
Well, and I'm going to pop it off first.
You got anything coming out?
I thought I heard the name Oliver. And 6925. Well, you mentioned it, so I don't know if that was a suggestion. Yeah.
It's possible. See if I find it.
What?
I'm asking questions.
Oh, I'm sorry. Is that a cat? It's a big ass cat. Hey, buddy. Come here.
Not very nice.
No? Come here.
Not very nice.
Come here. No?
He was just getting a little cranky when I was kind of
No? Yeah, you can do your thing. Hi there, buddy. Hey, buddy. Oh, you don't look like you're starving.
like, I'm used to this shit. Everybody comes here every night.
I know. Yeah,
Yeah, you're the only one he went straight to.
yeah.
You don't come to anybody else.
He's a fat fucker. He's not, yeah, he
He
ain't
just did a
starving.
meow.
Somebody.
Hey, buddy.
He is to the birds.
They're both at the parks. Don't have me on my ghost tube. Too crazy. I tried fixing really hard when I'm gonna follow the cat because they have good sense of
Does it do the little does it do the little
You might be giving us some clues.
Well, he did said nothing.
Nick's gonna be like, really? You just followed the cat the whole time? Yes, I did. I'm looking for a damn ghost cat.
They're getting a human by the wheelbarrow. Yeah, it's there. This might be just metal. I don't know. But we had a wheelbarrow.
Just heard brown-eyed girl.
I've got a person on a wheelbarrow.
There you go.
Here.
Do you?
Well, Leah now is coming over to it. You're taking away my dot.
I'm sticking with a cat.
The plastic will give you false positives, so you know.
Something you didn't notice the time it was at.
Small. Little. Not the cat. The cat's over there.
The flickering is because like this is gonna pick up that subtle like you know how light bulbs kind of like do like that.
We've got a little
So that's
figure.
gonna
I don't
pick
know if
up.
it's because it's the wheelbarrow. Oh. What?
Why are you excited?
What?
It's the plastic.
The plastic, because it's depth perception and it's all wrinkled up, it's going to give off that.
I was like, oh my god, I got a kid. But no,
I
I
heard
had nothing.
brown-eyed girl.
I can't make this stuff up.
I did. I heard it right over there.
Is that the lyric you heard?
Uh-huh. It said
Okay.
brown-eyed girl. It's the song.
Nice. Told you, can't make it up. Wish I could.
Well, I got figures over above that church. If that made any.
Keep it on. You want to take a look?
Well,
Oh, okay. You were recording those?
yeah.
Okay.
Kind of cat though.
Yeah.
The kid kind of got a little distracted.
Any numbers? Yeah, I guess. again, I don't expect a whole lot of numbers in this location, which is why you have two. This is actually one for the second one. The other one actually. You use that again. The average meant to try to serve. Just think of this as kind of like a color thing. So when things like that show up, I'm going to throw that one. So we have wood down there. It's good. Those specifics. I think at this point, we're probably need to wrap up. Oh, hang on.
Yeah, it does. It looks like something new.
I mean, I'm still going to take a screenshot to verify, but I'm 99% sure it is the tree branches.
Here, I was getting, but make sure the tree branches above the church too.
All right, let's head back over towards the wall.
It was nice to meet you, Kitty.
Hi, buddy.
I need to get her away from this area. It's causing her.
Should I be doing this thing?
I wouldn't say just yet.
No, that.
I just heard hi.
Hello.
I did. I just heard hi.
Like, what kind of voice?
Kid's voice.
Hi.
Very clearly. Not hearing much else.
I was actually a little bit. Yeah. How you doing now? Voice. You can just chill right here. You have a seat, hold your camera double style like you have been. You're doing great, by the way. I want to give you a job. So you really don't talk much, do you?
This is not at all.
So when I pieced this together, I wanted to make sure the people that we dragged here, to use the equipment, at least had some really good history to go on. So hopefully you got it. It should be. Willie show up on Square Foxes, like in the past, along with the son's birthday. Like, so that kind of verifies it's Willie and his specific birthday of a holiday.